All right, moving on to the next segment of today's show. There actually has been more and more talk as the recent days have gone on about what exactly is going to go down for this upcoming college football season. And we've heard many things such as, some conferences are going to play in the fall, some conferences are going to play in the spring, some with fans, some without fans. We've heard all these different talk, but since the pandemic happened, but really this weekend, I feel like more than ever, we have heard conversations about there being a legitimate shot of the NCAA and all these college football schools and programs saying to themselves, all right, whatever we can do to have a college football season, we're going to do it. And that part of their logic, I agree with. I think that, college football, especially now, is so important and more important than ever before for the community and the athletic department and the school in general, because we all know for a lot of these schools, college football is the main moneymaker. And without it, truly, we don't even know if all these athletic departments are going to be able to survive. And you remember on last week's show, I did a segment on, the Power Five, along with Notre Dame, possibly branching out on their own and maybe, considering starting their own league. And I still think that would be a good idea, maybe just for this season, maybe, for seasons in the future. But one thing I know for sure is this. There is no way, I think, that college football could actually happen in the spring. There are just way too many things and reasons against it why it would just make zero sense. And you're going to ask me why. Well, I'll tell you why. Reason number one is the weather. I mean, for all we know with this coronavirus, there's no guarantee that us playing in the spring is more safer than us playing in the fall. And as a matter of fact, it has been proven that the hotter it is, that the less the virus spreads. And I think that's the first thing, is that we can all agree it's going to be much hotter in the fall than in the spring. So that means the virus is more likely to spread during the spring, especially in a locker room full of many football players. So that is reason number one. Okay, reason number two. I know plenty of times we've discussed about the NBA and the NHL, and if they were going to restart their respective seasons, not only is it going to have a big effect on the champion and the season as a whole this year, but it also is going to have a big effect on the start and the schedule of next year. So realistically, if we're playing college football in the spring of 2021, so like around March, April 2021, then how are we going to start the season in August? I just don't think that's possible. And it would be a little hypocritical by the NCAA when they always say, oh yeah, we're doing this for the best reasons and our kids are the most important thing and we're doing this for them and it's all about them. Well, them doing that wouldn't really sound like the safest move as possible. And I think if they were to do that and then restart and then start the following season as normal in normal time in like late August, I think that would be really hypocritical. And I don't know how or if many of these college football players will be able to handle that. And on paper, it all sounds good. It all does sound like, hey, if we can't play in the fall with all these problems, just hold college football off until the spring, until hopefully when that date hits, the numbers will be lower. More schools and more players and more coaches will feel, more comfortable playing. But here's the other thing that everyone has to realize when it comes down to this coronavirus and it comes to college football. I don't know about you guys, but if I were a parent right now, and keep in mind, I'm 20 years old, I'm not a dad, I'm just going from what I could tell as a 20-year-old kid trying to make it in this industry. But I'll tell you this, if I had kids, I would really, really, really be hoping that they are back in school come the fall. Because for people under the age of 50, they are more likely to die from driving to school than the coronavirus. They're more likely to die from the flu than the coronavirus. And I feel like even though when you visit any media outlet's website, they'll be promoting all that and those will be the headlines. But in reality, I feel like a lot of these stories are the ones we should be talking about. And the fact that Saturday on July 4th, about 200 people died of the coronavirus in the U.S. Now, obviously, safety is first, and I don't want anyone to die, period, of anything. But it's a reality that we're not going to have a vaccine for this virus for a while. No time soon. And when it comes to sports, if you're going to use that logic of, okay, let's play in the spring, or let's just keep on waiting like we've been doing for the last couple months. And once again, I'm not trying to be, unsafe. Obviously, if things get out of control and everyone starts testing positive and blah, 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 then yes, we'll get to that bridge when we cross it, though. I just think that if players do the right thing, wear masks when they're not on the field, and properly social distance, then college football in the fall is very possible. And to be honest, we need it. Because here's the other thing. If we do play in the spring, do you think Trevor Lawrence is playing in the spring when the NFL draft is in March or April? Same with Justin Fields. Same with any other player that's projected to go basically within the first 3 rounds of the NFL draft. And when that's the case, what's the point? If you're in the NFL draft, you play in the fall to showcase your talents to the teams drafting you. And if you're doing that while the draft is going on, I don't really know if that's going to really work. I just don't know. So not only would Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields and the top stars at the peak of the sport not want to play, but who would want to play? There are 7 rounds of the NFL draft. 7. If you're getting picked, why would you play? Maybe to increase your stock a little bit, but none of the stars would play. And that combined with the weather, combined with the fact that if they do play in the spring, they would probably plan on restarting the 2021 season at normal time. So that gives these athletes only 2 months to recover? That just doesn't really make much sense to me. Here's the other thing. Remember Tua Tagovailoa, current quarterback for the Miami Dolphins, or for the Alabama Crimson Tide, and the current quarterback of the Miami Dolphins? Last year, you guys remember when Alabama played Mississippi State in early November? He got hurt. Unfortunately, he was injured for the whole entire season, but he ended up coming back and was ready to go come draft time. Obviously worked out a little bit at the Combine. If Tua Tagovailoa was playing in the spring instead of the fall, and he got hurt in the spring instead of the fall, there is no way he'd be able to recover as quickly for any workout for any professional team. No shot whatsoever. So once again, that's the fourth thing, is that if you look at Tua Tagovailoa, and this is kind of similar to the second reason I brought you guys when it comes to the safety of having 2 seasons in a span of only a couple of months of off time in between. If Tua Tagovailoa was playing in this league in the spring, his career trajectory to the NFL would be totally different. Here's the other thing. If we have college football in the spring, are we going to have college basketball in the spring? Because we all know those are the 2 big main moneymakers for college athletic departments all across the country. But think about the logistical possibilities and the logistical issues that would go in to having a college football season in the spring when it just comes to college basketball. I don't know if athletic departments are going to be able to have both sports going on during one season, especially when you look at the amount of resources that, each school has to, utilize. And I know what a lot of people are going to say is, Zach, they do it during the non-conference portion of college basketball and the heart of college football season in Thanksgiving, November, December. And I understand they do that, but that's when college football is coming to an end, and they can kind of smell the end. If they have the prime of both sports, let me ask you this. What are you watching? The College Football National Championship or the Final Four? I don't think those 2 sports deserve or should be going on at the same time. I know it's 2020 and everything's different, but I just don't think those 2 things should be going on at the same time. Plus, if college football doesn't play in the fall, You know what that means, right? In terms of the TV and the schedule. Saturdays are open. The NFL would hop all over Saturday, the Saturday TV time calendar if college football does not play in the fall. And the NFL, to be honest, it's no guarantee that they would stop when college football does come back. Because let's say college football does get canceled or just they don't play college football in the fall. Then, you know what the NFL is going to do? They're going to look at the calendar and say, oh, there are no games on Saturday? The whole day? Well, not only are we going to take one of our games and put them in primetime TV, but why not take 2 or 3? Why not have a 1 o'clock game, a 2 o'clock game, or a 1 o'clock game, a 4 o'clock game, and an 8 o'clock game? As an NFL fan, or if anyone is listening to this show that has no interest in college football, I guarantee you that is something that even just thinking about it will put a smile on your face. So for all the people that are out here saying college football, we should play in the spring. The coronavirus has made it, very unsafe to play in the fall. And I don't necessarily know if I agree with that. I understand these guys are student athletes and they're not getting paid. But the reality of it is this. They can't play in the spring. It's impossible. All of the issues I just named, between the stars sitting out, the safety, the logistical issues, I just can't see them playing a full season of college football in the spring. So what does that mean? They either play in the fall or they don't play at all. And I can't see them not playing at all. It's too big of a hit to these athletic departments. So that means we're going to have college football in the fall. Do I have any idea what it's going to look like? Absolutely not. But I'm telling you, playing in the spring is just a bad idea that college football as a whole needs to avoid at all costs.